Good morning and welcome to Sew Saturdays. Today I'm going to teach you how to make bias tape. It's really simple to make, really easy. I'm going to use a fat quarter, which is what I always use. And I will measure this out for you just to tell you how much the length and the width is. But if you don't know what bias tape is, it's it's folded like this, and basically it's used for trimming, and you can leave it open face, which will be called a single face bias, and pretty much it's open like this, and you can use it to be decorative to skirts, pants, shorts. But bias tape is simply like, if you had a collar and you wanted to give it a more finished edge, you can take the bias tape, and instead of folding the collar over, you would just take the bias tape, set it on top of the raw edge of the shirt, and just sew around. So there's all kinds of different sizes, colors, shapes. You can buy it in the store or you can make your own. I have done both. Obviously, I've made my own and I have bought it from the store. But basically, if you're looking to save money, obviously making your own is the best way to go, and fat quarters is the easiest, most cheapest thing to use. I get my fat quarters from Meijer, so a lot of these fat quarters that are like 99 cents, 1.99, 2.99. They have them in bundles, so you can go either way with the fat quarters. So I'm gonna measure this out right now just to let you know how much the width and the length is of the fat quarter. I have 22 inches wide by, or you could say 22 inches long, but anyway, it's 22 by 18 is the length of my fat quarter. So I'm going to iron this out first, and then I'm going to show you how to fold it and how to cut it. Now that I've ironed this out, we are going to go ahead and fold this diagonally. So what is bias tape? Bias is simply cutting on the bias, which is like a diagonal. What you see is with most fabrics, there is no stretch. There's no stretch to this. But when you cut on the bias, you see that there's a stretch. So that's simply what bias means. It's cutting diagonally. So to make bias tape, I am going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to fold it down like this. So now we're just folding this in like a diagonal shape. I like to make sure that my point here is pretty even before I cut. And I'm just simply going to go ahead and cut this. I'm going to iron it flat first. I need a new sewing area. This is just not working for me anymore, but I just haven't gotten around to doing anything in my basement. So that has nothing to do with bias tape, but as you can see, we have it folded diagonally here. So what I'm going to do is use my rotary cutter and just cut off this bottom piece. And this bottom piece can be saved for later. You can use it for something else, another project. I never get rid of scraps. I keep my scraps because I'm either going to use them to make fabric flowers or for something else. And it's always good when you have the same type of fabric, you can connect pieces together. So never throw away your scraps unless it's just too small to use for anything else. And I need a new blade on my rotary cutter because my family likes to come in and use my items, and then my blades get dull. Okay, so now that we have this done, we are going to take this and then fold it over again. And then we're just going to start cutting. That's what you have, and what I want to show you is just a little tip. So you want it to be in a 90-degree angle when you're looking at it. And here we go again with that math that you probably thought you would never need. Now you need it. So basically, what we're going to be looking at is this. This is how we want our fabric to be facing us. And you're thinking, well, we're going to have long pieces and we're going to have short pieces. That's fine, because we're going to be sewing this together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut mine at 2 inches. So I have my ruler here. And what I'm going to do, oh, another little tip is you want to have your fabric, this part is a closed fold. So if you're looking at it, the opening sits on the left side. So as you can see, there's an opening on the left, and there's an opening here on the middle of the right. So I'm cutting mine at 2 inches. And again, to make this easier, for now, I'm just going to mark it. That way I can cut everything at the same time. But you can cut each piece one by one if you want to. So you're going to cut 2 inches from the last mark. So do the same thing until you get down to the smallest part, and then you're not going to use that tiniest part with the bias tape. We're just going to either set that aside or throw it away. So this is the part that I'm referring to. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 5 marks if you're marking yours just like me. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, actually I still need this. What am I doing? Okay. I'm going to use my scissors at this, well, no, I'll use my rotary cutter. So you can keep using your rotary cutter at this point. Make sure you're pressing down very hard to get the cuts. Because you're cutting through layers of fabric. You're not just doing a single layer. You have actually 4 layers of fabric here you're cutting through. So this is the piece that I'm referring to that you're not going to need. So if you have a dull rotary cutter like I do, at least you have the pre-cut marks, and you can just go through with the scissors and just take the pieces off. So this part, the smallest part, we're not going to use. So I'm going to finish getting these separated, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do and how we're going to start putting the pieces together. Step that we forgot to do, and it would be on the left end that we were supposed to do this step, and that would be to cut the side, because we want 2 pieces of this. So because I already have mine cut, I'm just going to go ahead and cut where we had it folded. And try to hold it together so they remain as even as possible. It would have been much easier to do had I done this part before we started cutting our strips out. And I always forget to do this, so I do apologize for that. Okay, so now that we have our strips, we have all of our strips here, And you can mix the sizes. You don't have to cut long to short or short to long. You could do it one long piece and short piece, however you want to do it. So I'm just going to show you how to put the pieces together. So we're going to lay one piece down, and that is right side facing you, just in case you don't have a double-sided fabric. Like I don't have a double-sided fabric right now. So that piece is going to get laid flat. Now what you want to do is, you're not going to sew this like this because it's not going to be right. Okay, again, so let's do this again. We're not going to take this top piece and put it on top just like that. We're not going to do that. So what you want to do is pay attention to how this these are going to get connected. Now what you want to happen is when you place this one to sew on top of this one, you want to take this corner diagonal here and match it up with each end here. So right now what you're going to see is this part is going to be laying flat facing you, right side facing you. As I was stating, you have the right side facing you, and then you're going to take this edge of the other fabric, and if you don't have a double-sided fabric, you're going to have the wrong side facing you. So when you place this down together, you want to do a test, and the test is to hold this down because this will, our finger will be the stitch. So what you want to do is make sure that when you fold it over, that you have both right sides facing you properly. And then you're going to cut off that little edge. So you'll see what I'm talking about. We're going to start sewing this together. I'm going to do this for you a couple times just so you know what I'm talking about. So you don't need to pin anything at this point. You can just go ahead and sew it straight stitch, or if you want to do a zigzag stitch. For me, making the bias tape, I think the straight stitch works better. So you still want to secure the stitch by back stitching. And just go all the way down, back stitch in. And I'm going to take this little corner piece and I'm going to cut that off, trying not to cut the stitch. So as you can see, when you fold it over, this is how it looks. And if it's a little uneven, that's okay, because once you start folding the fabric to make the bias tape, you won't even notice that. So like I said, when you do this, you're going to have one right side facing you and one wrong side facing you. So we're going to do another piece just in case you're not really getting what I'm saying about it. Cut that string off. So as you can see, this one is actually turned a different way than this one was. And if you're not understanding what I mean, both, when I did the first one, both of the diagonals were going downward. So this is kind of what it looked like. So with this one, we have our diagonals kind of going upward. So our point is kind of pointing up that way. So because of that, we're going to take this piece, and instead of putting our sides together this way, we're going to put it the other way. So our strip will be going up instead of down like last time. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this piece too. And my comfortability is just to turn this over and stitch it. I just feel like if I keep it the way it was, that my stitch won't be right. I don't know. I'm weird. I've told you that before. Okay. So go ahead and cut that edge off again. And then, as you can see, there we have it again. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. So now we have all our strips here. I'm going to show you how to fold this so that we can get our bias tape. So everything's together. What you're going to do, well, what I like to do is to fold it, give myself a little crease here so that I can fold in, and I don't go all the way to the center. I leave like a little space just because when I fold both pieces over, I want to have enough room to where they're not completely overlapping each other. So you're just going to iron down all the way. You're going to do this on one side, and then you're going to fold the other side over the same way to your center, just like that. And actually you can do it both at the same time to save yourself some time. And then once it's done, once you're done ironing, I'll show you how to do the rest. So I'm just going to go through and keep on doing this. And if you had the bias tape tool, this would be a lot easier and you wouldn't have to worry about going through ironing. But I'm just showing you a way to do it without the tool, without the bias tool. Just in case my arm was in the way, I'm going to show you. We're folding both sides over at the same time, and we're just ironing them flat. Making sure they're flat. And just go all the way down all of your strips. Folding over. As you can see, we already have the parts that are already ironed. Now that we have our sides folded, we're going to go ahead and fold over these sides together. So we're just going to run our iron through here. So we're going to continue ironing through, just folding our pieces over. And as you can see, the bias tape is coming together. And it's easy, it's simple. You could use all kinds of fabrics. You could do all different sizes. But if you need thinner bias tape or you need thicker bias tape, then you just remeasure the initial cut. And when you're done, like I did, I just took pieces of cardboard, wrapped my bias tape around it, so when I'm ready to use it, it's easier for me to pull off. You don't want to have to keep folding, ironing over your bias tape, so it's much better if you just take it and put it on a piece of cardboard. And that's it for this Sew Saturday. And as always, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can go to my blog at frugaldiymom.com. If you would like to go and purchase one of my shirts from my Spreadshirt site or a store, that is spreadshirt.com, Nika Womack. All of that will be in the description, as well as one of my favorite jewelry places, KitsyLane.com. I also have a boutique on there, and if you're interested, you can sign up under me to have your own boutique and make a little extra money. So again, that's it for this Sew Saturday, and I will see you next Saturday.